Hello, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and this is your weekly tarot card reading, and I'm using the Shadowscapes Tarot for this week's reading. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing 3 cards. Each card is going to represent a portion of the upcoming week. So we're going to have a card for the beginning of the week, a card for the middle of the week, and a card for the end of the week. All right, so before I get into the reading, I just want to say if you enjoy this video, please subscribe to my channel. I post these every week. And check out my website, dailytarotgirl.com. There's all kinds of fun tarot learning resources on there for you. All right, so the card for Monday and Tuesday, beginning of the week, is the 7 of Pentacles. Now, the 7 of Pentacles is all about patience. And I think that this is... I love the gardening metaphor, because here she is, she's harvesting something. And I think that gardening is a really good metaphor, really for life. You know, you plant seeds, and we do that in life. You know, we have an idea for something, we start a project, and then it's up to us, you know, what things we want to nurture. And the things that we nurture with our attention, our time, our emotion, our energy, our focus, these are the things that grow in our life. But not always. Sometimes we will focus on something and we'll give something our love and attention and it fails. And that's the same with gardening. I don't know how many times I've planted something and I've given it water, I've given it sunshine, fertilizer, and it just doesn't really do well, or it just dies for no apparent reason that I can figure out. So the 7 of Pentacles is asking you to not just practice patience, but to see life as a process. It's not about getting it done. It's not even about doing it right. It's about going through the process and how the process changes you, how it transforms you, and the way that you respond to the different stages of that process. So I feel like this card is really saying, you know, for one thing, don't take life as seriously as you have been. So lighten up a little bit. Lower your expectations of yourself. So if you're normally a perfectionist, you know, maybe start to step away from that a little bit. See if you can loosen the grip that you have on trying to be perfect and trying to do things perfectly. Is there anything else I want to say about this card? I'm not sure. I might come back to it. Let's look at the next card. This is for Wednesday and Thursday. So here we have 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands is actually a high energy card, but it's about expending a lot of energy and not really going anywhere. So what's interesting here is all these foxes are running in one direction and this guy is running into the foxes in the other direction. It's like he's going against the wind. And I think that sometimes we can go with the flow, and when you're in the flow, it doesn't feel like you're pushing. It doesn't feel like you're trying hard. Things are flowing and you're tuned into something. You're in the flow. But when you're going against the flow, that is where things feel difficult. Things feel like an uphill battle and a real struggle. And traditionally, the 5 of Wands is actually about competition and maybe clashing with other people, where you're kind of squabbling and disagreeing about how things should be done, which I think might apply to you as well. So one thing I get with this card is that you may feel like you are fighting with everyone in your life, like everyone is going in one direction and you're going in the other direction. You're pushing for something else. You may feel misunderstood, or like just basic communication is a struggle every day. And that's kind of what the 5 of Wands is representing. The advice of this card is about, let me actually just look at this card a little bit closer. I'm not sure what the advice of this card is. I feel like, on the one hand, I want to say, well, I think this is about questioning where you're directing your energy. Are you directing it into something that's good, that's meaningful, that has value? Or are you just fighting for fighting's sake? Like, are you just pushing against something for the sake of it? Because sometimes we feel like we need to do that in order to get a sense of self or a sense of purpose. You know, there's people that just always, you know, they don't feel right unless they're pushing against something, and they're feeling like they're, you know, tapping into their rebellious nature. But that's not truly rebellious if you're just doing it to get a sense of self. So really questioning, you know, looking at the areas of your life right now where it feels like you're pushing, that feels like you're really expending a lot of energy and it's not going your way, and taking a closer look at that and seeing if you can maybe change your perspective a little bit. Okay, so let's look at the end of the week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All right, I'm going to see if I can plug this light in, see if it makes a difference. Yeah, it kind of did. Okay. All right, so here we have the Ace of Swords. Nice. All right, so by the end of the week, there is this new, fresh energy. I feel like the things that you're struggling with in the beginning of the week, you start to get some focus, you start to get some insight and some clarity, especially when it comes to what needs to be done. So the Ace of Swords brings this fresh, clear, focused energy with it. And the end of the week is definitely a time for starting projects, especially writing projects. And when it comes to communication, this is about turning over a new leaf and maybe even changing how you communicate with others, changing your tactic. So sometimes this requires becoming aware of patterns in your communication. So if you're constantly fighting with someone, let's say this is a family member that you're stuck, you know, you're in lockdown with your family and they're driving you insane, and notice the predictable patterns that your communications take. So if, I'm trying to think of a good example of this. Let's say you're fighting with a family member, or maybe you're discussing something with a family member, and they always start off by criticizing you and telling you what you're doing wrong. And so immediately you react by getting defensive and trying to prove that you're not wrong. And then they act by getting upset, etc., etc. If you start to notice a lot of your communications with the same people kind of going around in circles like this, what you can do is you can change your role. You can change your steps in the dance, and that in turn will change the pattern. And you're not asking the other person to do anything different. You're just changing your part. You're changing how you respond and what you do. And the other person will have to change what they do eventually. So that's what I'm getting from the Ace of Swords. So I got a lot from there. It's a good time to start writing projects. It's a good time to start something, and to create a little more focus, a little more direction. But it's also a good time to be more direct in your communication as well. And I feel like this card is also about speaking your truth. I think so many times we know what our truth is, but we're afraid to speak it. So we make excuses. And that is where we give up our power. That's where we lose our power. So the Ace of Swords is also challenging you to be true to yourself and to speak your truth more this week. Okay, so I'm going to look at all three cards together. And maybe I'm just going to unplug this light again because I can see it's creating a little bit of glare with some of these cards. Yeah, okay. So we start with a 7. Then we move into the week, we have a 5, and then we have an Ace. It's almost like we're counting down, and I feel like the energy is simplifying. It's becoming more and more simplified and focused this week. You may start off feeling a little bit overwhelmed and being like, oh, there's so much to think about, there's so much to focus on, there's so much to worry about, and you may feel challenged to be patient. Being patient might be a challenge for you at the beginning of the week. And it seems like there's a lot of restless energy this week. It's like, and I think people have been cooped up for a while now. There's a lot of restless energy. And when there's no healthy way, there's no healthy thing to put that energy into, sometimes we start to nitpick and fight with the people around us, or we fight with ourselves and we create dramas almost as a way to expend that pent-up energy. And that's kind of the unhealthy expression of pent-up energy. But as we get to the end of the week, we have an opportunity for clarity, for direction, to recalibrate, to reset, to communicate differently, and to turn over a new leaf. So that feels really, really positive. So patience, I think patience and communication are kind of the themes of this week. All right, so I just want to say thank you for watching this reading. I hope you find it helpful. And you can find out more about learning about tarot cards and tarot card reading on my website, dailytarotgirl.com. I'm going to put a link in the description box below this video. And I hope you check it out. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And I hope you're safe, you're healthy, and you're not going too stir crazy.